You are Locked On Pistons Postcast, part of Locked On Sports Detroit on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
How about it? How about it? Oh, baby, welcome into a live Locked On Pistons Postcast. What a win for the Pistons on the road at Madison Square Garden over the New York Knicks. 124-119, the final 21-19 on the season. The Pistons, in an epic showdown, are the last ones standing thanks to some clutch play by Cade Cunningham, 29 points in the second half, and Malik Beasley putting the final nail in the coffin with some clutch three-pointers. My name is Jake Rietma. You can follow me on Twitter at Jake_Rietma, formerly with 97 The Ticket, the Pistons flagship radio station, now with Locked On Sports Detroit, and fired up to be with you on the Locked On Pistons Postcast. This is Locked On Sports Detroit, and this is your post-game destination. Don't forget, your favorite podcast now has a newsletter. That's right, we're introducing the Locked On Pistons daily newsletter. It's your one stop for Ultimate League coverage delivered right to your inbox. You got to sign up for free right now at LockedOnDaily.com. That's LockedOnDaily.com. Start your day with the all-new free Locked On Pistons newsletter. Today's episode, it's sponsored by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. And let's get into it. Great show lined up for you. A big-time win in the Big Apple. We'll talk about Cade's gutsy second half performance with the 29 points. Malik Beasley with those huge threes down the stretch. How the Pistons were able to grind out a win tonight, and we'll wrap it up with our studs and duds. So come one, come all, and as always, your comments are welcome. Go ahead and use that comment function on the YouTube or however you're accessing today's show. Don't forget the audio version is available on the Locked On Pistons podcast platform, wherever you get your podcast. Shout out to the Everydayers. Shout out to Locked On Pistons daily host Ku Kahil. Appreciate all the work that he does. And as always, it's great to be with you on the Locked On Sports Detroit page. If you haven't yet subscribed, make sure you do so. But this was one of those games. It was a heavyweight fight, punch after punch, and look out, the Pistons were able to navigate through a hostile environment, always tough to play on the road against the Knicks, and battle some foul trouble. Cade did not look good in that first half, was dealing with some foul trouble, and lo and behold, he found a way to put forth quite the effort, a hell of an effort in that second half to the tune of 29 points. Down the stretch, Malik Beasley. I just listened to JB Bickerstaff's post-game press conference talking about guys trusting each other. The fact that the guys were making the extra pass on those final couple of possessions to free up the open shooter. And it was Tim Hardaway Jr. passing up a couple of shots to find Malik Beasley for an even better three-pointer. There was really an impressive team effort all the way through in that fourth quarter because, make no mistake about it, the New York Knicks are a dang good team. I also think JB Bickerstaff was at his best tonight. That coach's challenge that got the ball back for the Pistons. Yeah, it was a number of things all working together to grind out a team win on the road. And that's just something we haven't seen from the Detroit Pistons in so long. But I think we can get comfortable and get used to the fact that this is a part of the brand new Pistons, a competent basketball team that's going to give it everything they've got night in and night out, and nights like tonight are special. You got to love every second of them. And I thought they came out with good energy in the first half, and I already saw on Twitter, some Pistons fans upset with the quick whistle against the Pistons, battling foul trouble. That's going to be a part of it when you go on the road. That's always the case. But look at the way they, again, persevered and remained committed to becoming the victorious team at the end of the game, and they made winning plays, and that's all you can ask for on the road. Cade in 32 minutes, 36 points to lead all scorers. I thought at times he looked like the best player in the National Basketball Association. Now listen, and Cade's gunning for an all-star, and I gotta, maybe come down a little bit. That's very reactionary, not at all the time. I'm certainly not insinuating that, but at times Cade looked unstoppable tonight, and he looked like an assertive scorer. He looked like a man on the mission, and he sure as heck looked like an all-star. And the type of performance that he put forth tonight certainly garnishes respect league-wide. As far as the New York Knicks, I mean, like I said, that's an incredible team over there. Every single starter in double figures, 31 for Jalen Brunson, 26 for Karl-Anthony Towns, and he was working through that hand injury that seemed to be really bothering him. And this is such a loaded team. 27 for Mikal Bridges. It's such a loaded team top to bottom, and 12 for Josh Hart, who George Blaha said that just makes winning plays out there, and you got to respect that. Not a ton of production from the bench, just Cameron Payne with 10 points there. But that being said, the Knicks at 26-15, that's a good, solid win over a tough Eastern Conference opponent on the road, no less. And for this Pistons team, that's 10 out of 12. You got to love the effort that they're putting forth right now and feel really good about where this basketball team is at. I mean, go all the way back to even before the turn of the calendar, but that West Coast road trip, wins over the Suns, wins over the Lakers, the Kings, lost to the Nuggets, but 3 out of 4 there. You come back home, turn of the calendar, and all of a sudden you put a little winning streak together, rattle off 5 in a row with wins over the Magic, Hornets, Timberwolves, and Trailblazers, and then beat the Nets on the road before falling to the Warriors, and then get back in the win column with a win over the Raptors, and then keep the momentum going with a win on the road against the Knicks at Madison Square Garden tonight. You got to love that from the Detroit Pistons. But I know I've got a lot to say about this performance. We got a lot of comments building up that we'll get to, and continue to take a look at this one on a exciting, victorious, Locked On Pistons post-game show. Fired up as always to have you. And what a win for the Detroit Pistons, 124-119 over the New York Knicks. Some other observations: it was a huge call, but I think the right call, that moving screen that Karl-Anthony Towns had late in the game. It was just a 1-point game at that point, and the Knicks with the basketball. And I think it was Special K that pointed this out on the broadcast, but Brunson went a little bit too early on his drive, and that caused Karl-Anthony Towns to be in a compromising position, committing that moving screen. And then down the stretch, the way the execution was for the Detroit Pistons: 3-ball from Malik Beasley. Knicks come back with a quick 2 from Brunson, I believe, and then another 3-ball from Malik Beasley. That's how you close out a game. That's how you put the dagger. And you know what? I'm not the biggest fan of the shimmy, not really my style, but if Malik Beasley keeps hitting big threes like that, he can shimmy all he wants. But we'll talk about Cade's second half performance and get to your comments. Don't go anywhere. We're just getting going on a live, victorious Locked On Pistons postcast here on Locked On Sports Detroit. This episode of the Locked On Pistons postcast is brought to you by the Ultimate GM. That's right. I got to take this moment to introduce you a brand new mobile game that I'm super excited about. It's called the Ultimate College Basketball HC. If you've ever dreamed of being a college basketball head coach, this is your chance. Step in those shoes, my friends. In Ultimate College Basketball HC, you control every detail of your program, from recruiting players and hiring coaching staffs to overseeing training camps, handling NIL deals, and managing scholarships. It's all in your hands. And when it comes to game time, you get to draw up offensive plays and set your strategy. The way you play won't just affect the current season, but it will shape the future of your school's basketball program for years and years and years. It's a game that gets you to feel the full weight of what it means to be a head coach and lead your team to glory. Here's a special offer for Locked On NBA listeners. You use promo code Locked On CBB. That's Locked On CBB, all caps, inside the game store to get a free boost for your program. It's the perfect way to kickstart your coaching career. Download the Ultimate College Basketball HC. Just visit ultimate-cbb.com or look it up on the App Store. Ultimate College Basketball HC. Begin your coaching legacy today. This episode also is brought to you by Game Time. The best ticketing app in the world is Game Time for all your live events. And I'm not just talking sporting events. That's right, concerts, maybe a comedy show, whatever it may be. Just heard people going to see Shane Gillis recently. That is what you use Game Time for. It takes all the stress out of buying tickets for a live event. It's a great time to go to a live event. Get out to LCA. Get out to Ford Field. That's right. The Lions got home field advantage all throughout the playoffs, and we're saving you some money on tickets. So Game Time has made it easier than ever to get tickets to your favorite events with the new feature, Game Time Picks. This feature filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste any time searching through thousands of tickets. I use the Game Time app all the time. Most recently, Monday Night Football, Lions, 49ers. That's right. Use the Game Time app for that. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply, but create that account, redeem the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. And I ask you, what time is it? It's game time. And here we go, my friends. Second segment of the program. That means we're getting right into the comments, and there's got to be a lot to say after a 124-119 win over the New York Knicks to move to 21-19 on the season and above 500 on the road at 11-10. Second win of the season over the Knicks. You got to love that for the Detroit Pistons. Want to get to your comments. I just want to make sure that that is accurate. Yes, the Pistons won back against the New York Knicks on December the 7th as well, 120-111 at Madison Square Garden. So there you have it. 119-124, the final in this one, or 124-119. I'm not a psycho. I say the larger score first. I'm not crazy. Sorry about that. It was just a slip of the tongue. Now, into your comments. The first one, YouTube user, Cade is the most ethical player in the NBA, whatever ethical basketball is. What is that? I'm not sure what you mean by that, but he is fantastic. That's for sure. Demetrius McNeil, that's twice the Pistons win at the Garden. The other Commanders fans are saying, we want Detroit. Be careful what they ask for. Is Cade now an all-star? We're all over the place here, Demetrius. I'm trying to follow your comment, my friend. Yes, the Pistons have won twice at Madison Square Garden, and Commanders fans are asking for the Lions. Don't forget, we'll have a Locked On Lions postcast Saturday night after the NFC divisional round playoff matchup against the Washington Commanders. Good point here from user Azar Thompson. Had a very complete game. I would agree with that. He was a guy, missed a couple of shots down the stretch, but the youngster stepped up in 26 minutes, had 11 points, got involved on the glass, 7 rebounds, and made some of those effort plays that you love to see from Azar Thompson. Mr. My City, the mainstream media coverage is about to flock to Detroit. The Pistons winning is good for the NBA. That's a really good point. One of the more historic franchises. Some of those teams from, my era, of course, the going to work Pistons in 2004. Maybe my all-time favorite Detroit team with Chauncey Billups, Ben Wallace, Rasheed Wallace, Tayshaun Prince, Rip Hamilton. The list goes on. Absolutely love those guys, obviously. But the bad boys, and I love when League Pass has throwback highlights of those guys, because I remember watching Joe Dumars, but I can't quite remember watching Isaiah Thomas, born in 92. So you can do the math there. But I remember as a kid watching Joe Dumars and that era of the Detroit Pistons. My goodness. Mr. My City goes on to say Cade is him, and adds, when Beasley is on, he is on. Yeah, exactly. Malik Beasley is a streaky volume shooter, so that can be a little bit dangerous, can be a little bit scary. But when he's on and in clutch moments like we saw tonight, if he's going to knock down some triples that help this team win, you'll absolutely take it. Of course you will. He finished tonight with 22 points. He was plus 10 and 6 of 8 from the long line. So yes, he was hot from 3-point land. All right, Rizzy Man, Cade, best player in the NBA. Everyone will see that by next season. Mark my words. He's certainly on a short list, that's for sure, and deserving of an all-star nod, because, man, he has been so good. and really been the face of this resurrection and this turnaround that the Pistons have orchestrated in year number 1 under JB Bickerstaff. So great stuff there. You absolutely love to see it. Now, let's dive into Cade's performance tonight a little bit more. You know the box score. You know he finishes with 36 points. He was +4, but he did that with 4 fouls. He was in foul trouble the whole night. In that second half, 29 points. He was efficient from the floor, 14 of 27, 4 of 8 from the long line. And how about the Pistons as a team? 17 of 18 from the foul line. So really nice percentage there, obviously. Excuse me. Sorry, no cough button on this studio. My apologies. We're working through it. But that being said, how about Cade Cunningham tonight? Really on a big stage, willed his team to victory, got some help from the role players down the stretch, and that includes Malik Beasley with the 3-pointers. Marcus Sasser had some contributions. I know only the 7 points, but a couple of big buckets, and had that big 3 in the fourth quarter that continued to bring some momentum for the Pistons. Tobias Harris with 11 points. He was just 3 of 12, but +12 for the evening. And 10 points for Tim Hardaway Jr., just 2 of 8 from the long line. But all 5 Pistons starters in double figures, and then 22 off the bench for Beasley, 7 for Isaiah Stewart, who was better tonight, +14 for the night. Although I thought he and Karl Anthony Towns were getting into it at that one point when Cat hit that 3 and tapped Isaiah Stewart. I thought it might lead to something. It didn't. So maybe that's a sign of maturity and growth for Isaiah Stewart. And as hard as I am on him when he gets those dumb technicals, I will give him the salute and the nod tonight for maintaining composure when it looked like it was getting a little bit dicey out there for Isaiah Stewart. But all in all, you really love to see what the Pistons did tonight, 124-119 over the New York Knicks. I thought we might get a comment like this, which I certainly understand where it's coming from. Beasley acting like it's the first time he ever won anything. Long season, Joker. I understand it was a little bit much, the celebration. I personally am not a huge post-game celebration guy. You know, if you want to dab up with your teammates, of course, you're all for that. But I thought it was definitely a little bit much there. However, if like I said, I was not lying when I said if he's going to go 6 of 8 from the 3-point line and have 2 clutch threes that put the nail in the coffin, then yeah, go celebrate a little bit. Well, that's today's era. I mean, that's part of the generation that the current NBA is. I mean, guys do that sort of stuff. And when you're up, I mean, it's great and all, but I certainly hear you, Ronald, that it is a long season. So we'll see. That's what he does. Warren F. won't be the last time. Yeah. And like I said, I don't think it's catastrophic or anything like that. I personally wouldn't do it, but listen, win the game and I'm happy. And I know that's a really simplified way, but I think when it comes down to it, you know, it's not the worst thing in the world. Does he look a little foolish with all the antics? Maybe a little bit, but hey, you silence the Madison Square Garden. That's something every kid could identify with growing up and hitting a big shot like that to silence the crowd. I think I'd rather silence the crowd than bring the crowd to the feet. Maybe that just shows how messed up I am there. But that being said, really good comment here. Big task at hand. Congratulations. Good job by the Pistons. Couldn't have said it better myself. All right. We'll wrap it up with studs and duds. So get your studs and duds in the comments. Final segment coming up next. Don't go anywhere. It's the Locked On Pistons postcast here on Locked On Sports Detroit. Hey, this episode of the Locked On Pistons postcast is brought to you by Open Phone. Now, what's Open Phone, you ask? So glad you asked. So listen up. If you're running a small business, that means you're wearing a lot of hats, a ton of them, right? Your personal phone becomes your business phone. And before you know it, if you're juggling customer calls all day and night, that's right. It's all on your personal phone. And as your team grows, it becomes impossible to manage everything with just your personal number. That's where Open Phone comes in. It's the #1 business phone system designed to help you keep your work and personal life separate. For just $15 a month, the cost of a few coffees, that's it, $15 a month. you get complete transparency and visibility into everything happening with your business phone number. Open Phone works through an app on your phone or computer and integrates with tools like HubSpot and hundreds of others. It also uses AI-powered call transcripts and summaries, so you'll have a rundown of your calls and action items the second you hang up. That sounds great, because sometimes when I'm on those calls, I forget what's said. And if you miss a call, no problem. Automated messages are sent directly to your customer, ensuring you never miss an opportunity to engage, to connect. Right now, Open Phone is offering 20% off your first 6 months when you go to openphone.com/LockedOnNBA. That's openphone.com/LockedOnNBA. Open, OPEN, phone, PHONE.com/LockedOnNBA for 20% off for 6 months. Openphone.com/LockedOnNBA. And if you have existing numbers with another service, Open Phone will port them over at no extra charge. Openphone.com/LockedOn. All right. Appreciate everybody tuning in. As always, a couple more comments to get to before we wrap it up with studs and duds. Warren F., as a Pistons fan that lives 20 minutes from MSG, I should have been there tonight. Yeah, Warren, come on. You got to rep the Pistons. Oh, man, that would have been epic to be there. Any other Pistons fans? I saw a couple of Pistons fans courtside. So if you were at the game tonight, as always, love to hear that. There's lots of ways to get involved with the show. We got some duds coming in here right now. This is from 3M Right. My dud goes to Cat's thumb. Yeah, that'll be interesting. It got knocked around on the drive to the basket against Tobias Harris. I don't think it was anything malicious. I don't think it was anything intentional, but he certainly seemed to be nursing that the rest of the game. All right, what else do we have here? Big task at hand, says the Knicks cannot commit silly turnovers down the stretch. Yeah, there was the offensive foul, but some of that was just good defense by the Pistons, depending on how you look at it. And the Pistons made shots down the stretch. But that's where we go with my first stud. It's Cade Cunningham, 29 points in the second half, willed this team to victory and did it in foul trouble as well. Just a surgical performance on offense. He was knifing through the lane. He was knocking down shots. He was doing everything you need your leader to do. And that's a huge reason why this Pistons team was victorious. And the cherry on top, the exclamation point, the nail in the coffin, the finishing touches from Malik Beasley beyond the long line, 3-point after three-pointer down the stretch to help the Pistons win and close it out at Madison Square Garden. So there you have it. Now, I don't have any duds tonight. I really don't. No duds for me. That's how good of a night it was for the Detroit Pistons. Are there areas they could clean up? Sure. And you look at the box score, and, you know, it's certainly not a perfect box score by any means, but as a team, you look at some of the team stats as far as the shooting for the Pistons. They are 50% from the floor, 44% from the long line, 15 of 34, free throw line, 17 of 18, 94%, and 20 assists compared to 13 total turnovers, 26 assists for the Knicks compared to 18 total turnovers. So points in the paint, 56 for the Pistons, 48 for the New York Knicks, 15 fast break points for the Pistons. So how about that? You gotta love it. All the way for the Detroit Pistons tonight, a victory over the New York Knicks, and the Pistons will look to get back at it and continue the winning ways. They will get back at it and continue the winning ways on Thursday against the Indiana Pacers. That's at home against the Indiana Pacers. And then Saturday, taking on the Phoenix Suns. I believe that game has been changed to 4 o'clock. I'll double check on that. Obviously, a busy day in the Motor City on Saturday with the Lions. We'll have a Locked On Lions postcast and a Locked On Pistons postcast. But before that, a Locked On Pistons postcast after the game on Thursday against the Pacers. So thanks as always for tuning in. Always appreciate it. And it's always a pleasure to be on the air. Don't forget to sign up for the newsletter at LockedOnDaily.com. That's your one-stop shop for everything you need to know about the Pistons, LockedOnDaily.com. Don't forget to listen to Locked On Lions, Locked On Red Wings, Locked On Pistons, Locked On Tigers, you name it. anything Locked On Wolverines, anything on the Locked On channel coming out, you know it's high quality. Subscribe to Locked On Sports Detroit. We appreciate it. Go ahead and like today's video as well. It's always an honor to be on the air, and we'll see you next time on Locked On Sports Detroit. Pistons beat the Knicks and have won 10 out of their last 12. 124, 119, the final night. See you next time on Locked On Sports Detroit.